G'day cocktail lovers, welcome back to Milk Punch Monday. Going to make another milk clarified drink, and actually, to be fair, this is a milk punch as opposed to me just milk clarifying a standard cocktail, which is what I do a lot of the time. Milk punches, the clarified type, date back to at least the 1600s. We've got written records from the 1600s. Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, famously had his own milk punch recipe. Yes, one of the founding fathers who spent more time in French brothels than in Congress or on the battlefield, and wrote an essay about farting, and used to have drug parties with his friends where they huff ether and have sex. In other words, my kind of guy, quite honestly. And he liked milk punch. And back in the day, milk punch was probably invented because the stuff they were drinking, commonly brandies and rums, were probably, by our standards, rough as guts. And making a milk punch, a milk clarified drink, really softens the edges. They would go to town, they would throw all sorts of stuff, like strong black tea, cloves, stuff with a lot of flavour, because another thing the milk clarification process does is soften flavours. So this is an actual milk punch I'm making rather than a standard cocktail I'm milk clarifying. It was called, I think, a lemon cream milk punch on the liquor.com website. I'll put a link to their recipe, which is for making a huge batch. And that gave me a benchmark for ratios. And then I've made my own on a much smaller scale, but I'll get a couple of drinks out of it. And one of the first things I did was flavour the milk, because you can do that. You don't have to just use your regular dairy milk. Some people like to flavour it with like a sugary breakfast cereal. This one recommended a particular sort of biscuit or cookie if you're American. And I thought, what would I like to flavour it with? And I got these little Dutch treats called stroopwafels or syrup waffles. And they're like a waffly type thing with a syrup in them. So I broke up a couple of those and let it soak in 4 ounces of milk and put it in the fridge for about a day. And then I got it out. And of course I needed to get all the remains of the stroopwafel out. So I poured it through a nut milk bag. Yes, insert innuendo here. Everyone always does. And then squeezed it all out, squeezed the nut milk bag really hard. And then, so you've got all the bits out of the milk. And I did 4 ounces because you want a ratio of your drink to milk of about 4:1. So I'm going to make about 16 ounces of the actual drink. And this is going to be very rum-centric. I've got a lot of rums. But instead of just rum, instead of just using a sugar syrup, this recipe has an oleosaccharin, which is oil sugar. It's a sugar syrup with citrus oil. And the way you make this is pretty straightforward. You peel whatever citrus you have, put them in a bowl, and you want to weigh them. You want to know how much the peel weighs, because then you're going to cover them with twice that weight in sugar. I usually use caster sugar because I was following this recipe. I used icing sugar. I think in America they call it powder sugar or confectioner's sugar. It's the icing sugar used to make icing for cakes, which is going to give it a different tangy taste that caster sugar doesn't really have. So what you do, and this one, to be a bit fancy, cracked a couple of cinnamon sticks in there and crushed them in, and a vanilla pod as well. Split the vanilla pod so all the goodness of vanilla flavour will go in. So it's the peel, the sugar, the cinnamon, and the vanilla. And you leave that for 12 to 24 hours, and you get this reaction where the sugar basically leaches the oils out of the citrus peel. And so you end up with a syrup. And that's where I've got to now. It's all liquefied. So rather than putting it in my usual either mixing glass or cocktail shaker, the booze is going in here because we want to mix this in. Like I said, I'm going to make this pretty rum focused. I think I said rum focused, not brandy focused. So, but a few different rums are going in, just for fun. I'm going to use this. This is an Australian rum from Bundaberg in Queensland. This is their 12-year-old black rum. And I'm going to put 6 ounces in. Just drop that straight in. And that's for the Bundy, as we love to call it in Australia. that's the wrong lid. I just took all these lids off all the different bottles so it'd be easier for me to find the next one. The next one is another Australian rum, also from Queensland, but from the Beanley Distillery. This is called Inner Circle. This is their special overproof. 75.9% alcohol, so over 151 proof. I'm just putting 2 ounces of the overproof rum in. But that's not it for the rums. I've got one more. Well, this is a rum. It's known as Batavia Arak, or Batavia Arak. Batavia is what the Dutch called Indonesia when it was their colony. This is a particular sort of brandy that's still made in Indonesia, just to the north of Australia. And I found this super hard to get, but I finally found it. So it's going in. I'm going to do 2 ounces or 60 mils of Batavia Arak as well. Just chucking it in there. Now, a few interesting ones. I'm going to do some Liquor 43, which is a Spanish liqueur. It's like vanilla and spices. It's very nice flavors. So 2 ounces of Liquor 43. Nice vanilla flavor going in. We've already got some vanilla that's going to be a bit over top. And now, just to put a different flavor in there, I'm putting an Amaro in. You can use the Amaro of your choice. This is another one I recently got. Amaro Montenegro, because people are always talking about it. So I finally got some. I tasted it. It's really quite good. You may know, if you watch this channel, I really hate Campari because it's too bitter. And all the Amaro are bitter in their own way. And this is for me a nice level of bitter. So, it's making that gurgling noise. 2 ounces, 60 mils of the Amaro going in. And my last booze element, and this is another thing that's a big burst of flavor, some pimento dram or allspice dram. The base of it is the pimento berry. It's not the stuff that is inside. I don't know how 2 different things get the same name. Pimento's a sort of capsicum or red pepper that's in some stuffed olives. This is different. This is a pimento berry, which got known as allspice because it tastes like all the spices. It tastes like cinnamon and anise and a few other things. Very bold flavor. I'm just putting 1 ounce or 30 mils. Why am I saying 60 mils? 30 mils of our allspice dram, pimento dram in there. And just to offset it, I'm going to do a little lemon juice as well. I'm just going to do 1 ounce or 30 mils of lemon juice. That's not quite right, there you go. Because we do need some acid content in there, because this is getting milk clarified, of course. Look at that. Can you see? I'm going to spill it. I'm not going to. It's brown. It's brown, okay? It is an unappealing brown, and now I have to mix this. So I've stirred this enough to dissolve the sugar. I'm pretty sure I've dissolved the sugar in it. I'm sure I have. I'm a professional. I'm sure it has. All right. So now we're going to add it to the milk through a strainer, because we want. It doesn't matter if there's some small bits get in, because the final thing we're going to do is to actually filter through a coffee filter. And I just dropped a sticky bit of citrus peel on my laptop. Good move, that man. So that's there. This can be used to make a nice dessert. You can see this is not a very appealing colour, is it? Just gonna stir it a bit to make sure it's all in there. If you've got the acid content right, it starts to curdle almost straight away. And of course, curdled milk sounds terrible, doesn't it? We all get told curdled milk is bad. In this case, it's good because the curds are going to separate and they will do most of the filtering. But for now, I need to set this aside. Often 30 minutes to 60 minutes is enough, depending how you've done it. You might leave it for a couple of hours. Some people even say overnight. I've usually found an hour is the most I need to do it for, but for now I'll set it aside and come back to you a bit later. After a little time has passed, here we have our drink, which is curdled, which, look, to be fair, not looking great. It would be fair if you looked at me at this point and said, not a great looking drink, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Well, this is not the final stage. We now need to pour it through a filter. So this is a simple paper coffee filter, putting it in there, and I'm going to run it all through in here. But one thing to note, the first bit that goes through comparatively fast, because although we're running it through a coffee filter, the coffee filter doesn't do the really hard work of clarifying. The milk curds do. So what we want is to let a bit of it run through, and then we're going to put it through a second time. You could even put the whole lot through twice or even more to try and get it really clear. But what we'll do is we'll put this through. This is going to take a while. This is probably going to take at least an hour or so. So once more, through the magic of editing, I'll come back and show you what happens next. Full disclosure, I shoot these videos on a live stream I do usually on a Friday or Saturday night on my original YouTube channel, Angry Aussie, and I can end up being slightly the worse for wear as I drink more and more cocktails. And now this milk clarification takes a while, so I've been talking to people on the live stream and having more drinks while I waited. So I may end up reshooting this, or this might be okay. So this is part of the milk punch. The rest of it is still clarifying somewhere else. I'm going to make an attempt to finish this video and taste this. So I have my double rocks glass with a big old chunk of ice, and we pour this in. And it looks special. It looks special. I'm just saying, that looks pretty good. From that gross murky thing it was when the milk was curdling, it's really clear, it looks beautiful. It's maybe a urine sample from someone who needs to hydrate a little bit more, but it's not bad. But so it's very clear. I'm not using my clear ice, that's a normal bit of ice, so you can see all the impurities and air bubbles in it. But the drink is very clear, and now I'm going to taste it. Whoa! Oh my god, that is magical. That has so much going on with the multiple types of rum and the cinnamon and the vanilla. It's weird, like I put a comparatively small amount of the allspice dram in there, the pimento dram, but I can really taste it. That is a very strong taste. Look, honestly, if you make this, and as I said, I will put a link to the recipe for a larger volume of this in the description below. If you made this milk punch for people and you kept it in your fridge and just poured it into people's glasses on some ice, you would be a legend, is what I'm saying. This is amazing. Oh, this is a fantastic tasting drink. I will never stop being amazed at what milk clarification does to drinks. It creates an entirely new thing. And yes, between the previous bit of video you saw of me prepping this and me tasting this, I had several drinks. So, I'm pretty far gone, in all honesty. But you take a few more bits of this. It's spicy, it's sweet. This is absolutely amazing. Also, it has a lot of alcohol in it and will get you absolutely hammered, in all honesty. And it will sneak up on you, and you will wake up in a gutter somewhere going, how did this happen? That drink didn't taste all that alcoholic, but it really was. So this is an absolute winner. I love this, and this is only part of what I made, so I'll have more for another night. It's really enjoyable. It takes the edge off the drinks and makes something completely new. Oh, I'm a big fan of this. I don't even remember. I know I put a bunch of different rums, and I made an oleosaccharum, and I milk clarified it, and I got this, which is pure magic. It's witchcraft, and I love it. I may or may not shoot this closing bit again on a following day when I'm somewhat more sober, but you might get this, which is a bit of a laugh, quite honestly. So if you want to join me for a bit of a laugh in the future, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the notification bell so you know when I upload. I'm going to make many more cocktails, both milk clarified and not, because I really enjoy the world of cocktails. I hope you do too. I hope you enjoy sharing it with me, and I'd love to see you again soon. But until such time as I do see you again, I'll say cheers.